Here's a look at a recap of your markets on this Monday, the 27th day of October. Things sure didn't get any better today as the day progressed. We traded 14,000 head of fed cattle out of the feed yards in the north today on a Monday. And anytime there's feedlot trade on a Monday, that's no good for the cattleman at all. In the north, those live sales today, $229.84. That's down $9 just from where the majority of the trade was last week, which occurred on Friday. Dress sales, $358.70. That's down about $10 from the trade on Friday. Box beef cutout values did close higher today. Choice up $2.12 at $377.88. Select up $3.69 at $361.66. That was based on 117 loads of cuts, trimmings, and grinds. The Choice Select spread at $16.22. At the auction barns around the state today, take a look at a few of the stickout sales. Even though those stickout sales are at much lower levels today, at China Livestock Auction, they had a load of 811-pound steers at $338.75, 15 head of steers weighing 500 pounds smooth at $422.50. Callaway Livestock Center, 41 head of 539-pound steers at an even $4. 45 head of 766-pound steers at $342, a load of 823-pound steers at $334, and a load of 885-pound steers at $317 a quarter. At Joplin Regional, stockyards are already done for the day. Of course, they did start awful early this morning. Didn't quite get as many as they thought. We're expecting 6,500 head. Ended up with 6,301. Compared to last week, the steers there, $25 to $40 lower. Feeder heifers, $20 to $40 lower. The feeder steers, medium and large ones, some 5 to 6 weights at $370 to $395, 6 7 weights at $345 to $376, 7 to 8 weights at $339 to $359, 8 to 9 weight steers at $321 to $347, some 900 to 925 pound steers at $315. Feeder heifers, 4 to 5 weight heifers at $367 to $390, 5 to 6 weights at $345 to $380, 6 to 7 weights at $332 to $355, 7 to 8 weights at $320 to $333, some 8 to 9 weights at $301 to $321, and it really didn't matter today what barn you talked to. All of the barns had sharply lower trends today. Taking a look at the futures markets on the Mercantile Exchange. On the cattle side, of course, we were working with the expanded limits today. Live cattle for October, 228.82, down 492. December at 227.17, down 617. February at 224 even, that was down 942. So none of those contracts, even though at one point today they were down the full expanded limit, which was $10.75. They did not close at any of those limits, so those limits will drop back tomorrow. Not quite the same story on the feeder cattle, however. They were working with the expanded limit of $13.75, and other than the nearby October contract, all of the feeder cattle contracts hit that limit today, so they will have that $13.75 expanded limit once again tomorrow. October feeder cattle closed the day at $345.50. That was down $8.80. November at $338.45. January $334.42. The CME cash feeder cattle index, of course, that runs a day behind, so none of the prices from today's auctions will show up until tomorrow, and there's no doubt that index will drop significantly tomorrow. However, today, taking in all of last week's data, based on an 800-pound steer up through the 12-state feeding region at $367.55, and that's $22 higher than what the current October contract is. And of course, those two will have to come together in some way, shape, or form by Thursday. Taking a look at the hogs, and hogs haven't been spared from this downturn either. The pork cutout value in the last months lost $12 per hundredweight. The weight average on the carcass per hundredweight down $16 per hundredweight in the last month. And of course, those hog carcasses aren't near as big as the cattle carcasses, not near as many pounds. So those dollars add up just the same. And it's not pretty in the hog complex either. Lean hogs for December, $81.50, down $40 for the day. February, $83.40, down $90. And April, $88 even, down $95. Turning our attention to the grain markets, there was some green to be found here today, so it did look a little bit brighter when we talked about grains. At the elevators around the state, corn was 4 to 10 cents higher, soybeans 25 to 26 higher, wheat up 13. Corn bids in the St. Louis area, $4.47, Kansas City at $4.18. Soybean bids in the St. Louis region, $10.85 to $10.88, Kansas City $10.17 to $10.32. Wheat bids, St. Louis $5.01 to $5.14, Kansas City at $5.01. On the Board of Trade, other than the oats, everything was solidly green here today. December corn up 5.5, $4.28 3/4. March at $4.44 1/4, up 7 1/4. May up 8 at $4.53 3/4. Soybeans is where all the strength came from today, and the other commodities just followed along. November beans up 25.5, $10.67 1/4. January at $10.85, up 24 3/4. March at $10.95.5, up 22. Wheat contracts, December 5.26, up 13.5. March at 5.42, up 14. May at 5.53, up 14 1/4. Soybean meal for December, $298.20 a ton, up $4.10. Soybean oil for December, $50.77 a hundredweight, up 50 cents. With the Missouri Department of Agriculture, that's a recap of your markets for Monday. This is Tony Hancock.